everyone. It's Erin at Universal Imports. I'm here with Mark Feuerbacher, and we figured we'd come to you today as part of our Grease and Glamour podcast that we do, kind of a sub-series of this. It's a 10 over 10 over 10. So it's 10 questions with 10 answers in 10 minutes. First question is, how do you get brake dust off of your wheels?
Okay, how you get brake. So first of all, everybody, this is for you cleaning your cars at home during our lockdown, if you will. The first thing to do when you're cleaning your wheels is use a hose and get all the loose dirt off. From there, if you have a wheel cleaner, use that. There are a lot of great ones out there, from Armor All to some McGuire's, all kinds of companies doing wheel cleaners. But just use a soft bristle brush, because it's important that you know that wheels actually are painted. So you want to use a non-acidic cleaner on the wheels. When you're done with that and you dry them off, you can use a wheel polish. You can also use your regular car wax, whether it's spray wax or can wax. You can use that on your wheels. However, don't spray the wax directly on the wheels, because that wax will get on the brake rotors. That could cause brake squeaks, could even make your brakes feel a little weird for a minute or two. So just apply the spray wax to a towel and then wipe it on. And you always use a microfiber towel when you're applying the wax and removing the wax.
All right, next question. Why isn't it a good idea to wax your windshield?
So actually, it's not a bad idea to wax your windshield. I was always taught that you can wax all the windows on your car except the windshield, because of the possibility of problems with your windshield wipers. However, a spray-on wax, which is a more refined wax, will do a good job. It'll act like a Rain-X type of thing on your windshield. However, Rain-X is probably the best because that's designed for your window. But you can use regular wax on all your windows. You can even use spray-on wax on your windshield. I wouldn't use the canned Carnauba waxes on your windshield, because they're a little more greasy, and it may be very hard to get the streaks off of the windshield. So Rain-X on the windshield, regular wax on the other windows is probably the best bet. You can do that on the inside and the outside of the car, actually.
How do we clean the salt out of our carpets?
The best way I have found, and talking to my detail department, the best we have found to get salt out of carpets does not exist in a cleaner at all. It exists with very hot water. So get water in a bucket, as hot as you can get it, as hot as you can bear to feel it on your hands, and with a stiff bristle brush, really get that hot water and that brush and get it into the salt. What the hot water does is it actually melts the salt, and then it gets it off. And then you can use a carpet cleaner after that to take care of that.
Is there a way to clean your headlights at home?
Not a good way. You'll see online, on TV, they show you ads, and you'll see in magazines, you'll see these ads for these sort of do-it-yourself headlight cleaners. What a lot of people experience on older cars is that the plastic on the headlights start to fade. They get a little yellow, and there are different products out there that you can do at home to try and get that yellow and that sort of faded look off of the headlights. However, we found that for the most part, most of them don't work in the long term. What you really need to do is you need a really good compound, buffing compound, and you need to very vigorously rub that into the headlight. And actually, you should be using a machine buffer. But I would tell anybody out there that's not experienced with using a machine buffer to be very careful, because you can do a lot of damage with a buffer if you don't know how to use it. You can burn paint very, very easily. The whole premise of a buffer is to make the item that it's rubbing on very hot. And so you can damage the headlight, you can damage the paint on your car. So you have to be very careful. I would leave machine buffing a headlight to a professional, but if you machine buff a headlight and then ceramic coat it, or even clear coat it at a body shop, and you can usually get that done for a couple $100, you could make most headlights look brand new. I wouldn't waste your time with too many of the ones that you find for, $19.99 online. I don't think that they're going to do the trick over the long term.
How often should you wax your car? Every week, every month?
Well, I a long time ago was led to believe that you shouldn't wax your car that often at all, like once a year, because you want to allow your paint to breathe. But it turns out that is more or less a good advice if you've just had your car recently painted. That paint needs a little time to cure, and you don't want to keep that sealed all the time. On most cars that don't have any issues with recent paint jobs or anything like that, you can wax your car as often as you like. A lot of the spray waxes is a really good idea because every couple weeks you can wash your car and then just do a spray wax. What I will tell you is, and it's very important, is never wax your car without immediately washing it beforehand. So you need to wash your car, dry it off, and then wax it almost instantly, because even if you wait a couple hours, especially in the springtime, the pollen, a lot of these sort of microbes that are in the air are going to settle on the car, and that's going to become an abrasive if you go to wax it. Always use a microfiber rag. Always use clean microfibers for applying wax and removing the wax, and always do it immediately after you wash the car and dry it off, and never do it in direct sunlight. Always best to do a wax job in the shade, because if wax gets too dry on the paint, it's very hard to get off.
So there's articles out there that say you can use cooking oil or dryer sheets to get rid of bugs on the front bumper. Is that true?
You could probably use just about anything to do it. Whether it's harming it is another story. And if you use like dryer sheets to try and remove bugs, it's almost like using a fine sandpaper. So you could do a lot of damage to chrome, to paint, even to plastic if you're trying to rub a dryer sheet on that. It's like using a very fine sandpaper. So I would say don't do that. As far as cooking oils and that sort of thing, the only reason that may work is that it may have some agent in it that can loosen up some of the bugs or debris that you're trying to get off. The best thing to do really is just to get a bug and tar remover and use that as directed on the bottle.
How do you clean your car's engine if it's dirty?
So in our detail department, they will actually do a full steam clean where they use, in some cases, even high pressure water. I would definitely not recommend that for anybody at home. I would be very careful to do that because there are a lot of electronics in the engines today, and you don't want to get ignition coils, those sort of things wet, fuse boxes, that sort of thing. So I would say spray a little spray water bottle. You can spray it on, wipe it off. That would be fine. Get a wet towel, wipe things off, and then dry it off with a dry towel. That would also be fine.
How do you clean the interior of your car when it comes to the wood grain or even the navigation screen?
Wood grain, I would start with water because you might be able to, if you can get anything clean with water, that's the best thing to do first. The next best thing would be then I like to use a little bit of spray-on wax on a towel and then clean my wood in the car because that'll give it a nice little polish. It'll take out some of the really fine scratches. But you have to be careful that you don't get that wax on the plastic parts of the shifter or the navigation controls. As far as a nav screen goes, I wouldn't even touch it. Short of using a microfiber towel and very lightly getting the dust off of a nav screen, it is playing with fire to try and clean a nav screen. Most of them have an anti-glare film on them, and that is very, very fragile. It can get marred up, scratched up very easily. So that is why you shouldn't ever use Windex or any type of window cleaner or apply any pressure to a nav screen. What I would say is just use something light to get the dust off. If you already have a problem with a nav screen, there is a solution. There is some products that we have here that the professionals will remove the anti-glare film that is already factory installed on your nav screen. We will then apply a new anti-glare film on the screen, and it will look like brand new. But it's a real science. It's not something I would recommend trying at home.
What about interior smells? Can you use household products like baking soda to get rid of smells?
One thing that is a big pet peeve of mine, and probably to many people out there, is smelling something that's trying to cover up the smell of something else. So using the pine tree air freshener or some of the ones you can put in the vents. I mean, if you like summertime at the beach smell, you can use that. But I like using baking soda and vinegar, like actually a little dish of baking soda, a little dish of vinegar under the driver's seat and under the passenger seat. That does help eat up odors, the same way that baking soda does in a refrigerator. That does help. If you have a bigger problem, so whether it's a pet smell, a smoke smell, something like that you're trying to remove from a car, some of that unfortunately may never fully come out. But there are these ionizers that shops have. We have one here, and we can put those in the cars. We scrub the headliners, scrub the carpets, use baking soda, use vinegar, and ionize. That is the quadruple threat of what you can throw at the smell of the interior of a car.
What's the best way to get rid of animal hair that's not able to vacuum up?
So a good home remedy is duct tape, right? So you take the duct tape and you wrap it with the sticky side out around your hands and just start patting all around the carpets and the seats and the trunk, which is the worst area for most because the trunk has that very that really thin carpet. So duct tape works good. If you have just like a lint roller, buy one of those for a couple $, and just reside to the fact that thing is just for your car, because you might go through one whole lint roller just to get dog hair out of a trunk. But duct tape works really, really well.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you guys watching this video. If you have any questions, call us at 585-381-8677. Visit our website, universalimports.com. Also visit our podcast, Grease and Glamour, where we address other questions that you guys have, other topics. And just thanks for listening. And please let us know if there's any questions you have.
Yeah, let me just add. So we did that in just a little over 10 minutes, but the actual question part, we did it in about 10. Anybody out there that's interested in listening to the Grease and Glamour podcast, visit Grease and Glamour podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever podcasts are found. And, of course, if you need anything for your car, please check out universalimports.com. Looking forward to see you guys next time. Thanks.